our own page. Now for those who were here yesterday, what we're going to do is we're going to add some extra lines. You'll see up the top here I've added a line which is now a link to a style sheet. And so we started to talk about style sheets the other day. You can see I've created it. The link has got a relationship. The relationship is a style sheet. It's a type and it's text/CSS. That's the type of style sheet. And then just like our anchor has a hypertext reference, our link has a hypertext reference, but this time it's linking to styles.css. If I open up my styles.css file right here, you can see there it is. I've started styling, as I showed you the other day, the body. And if I look in my folder here, just to show you, I've got my index file, and there I've saved my styles file. So now in my style sheet, you'll remember that you can use elements or tags that are inside of your HTML and style them directly. So my body, I've said that it's going to be styled using the font family Verdana, then Geneva, then sans serif. It's going to have the background color CCC, which is grey, and I'm going to use a background image which is inside my images folder and named elegant background. And if I jump down here once again, go inside my images folder, there's my elegant background image. The background is not going to be repeating, which means it's not going to tile like the one that I did the other day for you, and it's fixed, which means that as I scroll up and down, the background is going to stay stationary on the page. Alright, so let's have a look at how this actually styles. Jump back here. I've saved my Notepad++ file right there. Let's save that one as well. There we go. And then I'm going to refresh my personal profile page, and you'll see that all of those styles that I described in my styles CSS file have now been applied. Plus, you'll notice I've got an extra couple of styles because I've been a bit tricky. In my HTML file, I've also created this little container. Now this little container is called a div. So let's have a look at how we did that. You can see I've got the elegant background. I'm using the fonts that I described. Let's have a look at how we created that div. So jump back to your index.html file, and you can see that all I've done is straight under my body tag, I've added a new HTML tag which is called a div, and it has a class which is called container. So I've just said div class equals container. At the bottom of my HTML, I've also got the finish of the div. So there's 3 lines you need to add. You're going to need to create this link, add this div, and add this finish div. Then we're going to have to create a styles.css file. In my styles, I've explained what the body tag does, but here's my class. So this is now the class from my HTML file called container. So you'll see I said the class was equal to container. In your CSS, if you say dot container, instead of referring to a element, you're referring to that class. So I've said the class is going to have a width of 80%, it's going to have a maximum width of 900 pixels, a minimum width of 300 pixels, a background of FFFFFF, which is white. There's my margin settings and there's my border settings. And if we look at our page, let's look at them side by side, you can see there it is. So I've got a width of 80%. As I scroll, you'll see that the page gets smaller and it's sticking to 80%. It should get as small as 300 pixels and then stop. There we go. And it should get as big as 900 pixels and then stop. So you can see the container here is no longer resizing, just the viewport, just the window is, and so the container has a maximum width of 900. The background is white. I've set the margin to 0 in auto, and I've set a border right there is 1 pixel solid, and that little bluey green color which I grabbed off the background image as well. And so that way you've been able to style a container that's inside of your body tag. Now what I'd like you to do is come up with some styles for your headings. So you can see I'm just picking up Verdana Geneva, and so it's using Verdana for my font now, but I'd like you to do your own custom heading styles, your H2 styles, and also your paragraph styles. Now to help you with that, you'll need some research, and once again, if we look at our introduction to HTML, this CSS Fonts page is a nice little place to start. It looks like this, and it runs through how to set font sizes, how to emphasize fonts, how to do things like italics or normal or underline, and also how to change font families. And it's also got some web-safe font combinations. So in order to use a font, obviously the computer that's looking at it has to have that font on it, and not every computer in the world has every font, but here's a couple of safe different types of fonts that you can use across the web that are generally going to be available across most computers. And so you can try some of those, pick a font family that's appropriate for yours, and give it a go in styling your HTML document. Okay, if you need help, ask me. I'll be wandering around as well, but this is to get those started who are ready.